All right, we're here again with Coffee with Impetus, and today we have Adam Abrams with us from Ferrule Blasters. So, for all you don't know, it is episode 10, and today we do have a special giveaway with Ferrule Blaster as well. But other than that, let's have Adam himself give an introduction of who he is and what he does.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Adam Abrams. Obviously, I'm the inventor of the Ferrule Blaster. We brought this tool out in 2016 at the THCC show in Long Beach to great fanfare, and we sold out basically with about an hour left of the show.
Wow.
I'm a former plumber. I've got a plumbing service company with just my brother is my only worker. Got my license back in 92 and started my business in 95. And it still is there, so I guess I'm not sucking too bad.
Are you still plumbing today, actually?
No, the day that we debuted at the PHCC show was my last day of plumbing. I pretty much retired my uniform and my wrenches that day.
So you go full force on the Ferrule Blaster now?
Well, it was kind of the tell. I mean, you're like, all right, I tried to go to some distributors and see if I could get distribution before I came out. And, they were like, well, how many of these have you sold? And I was like, none. They were like, well, how do you know you're going to sell this at this price? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm a plumber, so I pretty much have an idea of what people will pay for a tool that saves their time. And so,
but you were sold at CHCC. You said already, right?
This was before the PHCC show.
Oh, okay.
We went to a couple distributors, and they were really interested, but they passed because they didn't think that it was that it was possible that I could sell it at that price. And so a couple months right after they passed, at that point I went and bought a booth at the PHCC show, and it was only like a couple months away. So we set up, and I basically designed a booth, and we went to the PHCC show. I had a couple of girls that were with me, and they were in like Kill Bill outfits with I had holsters for their Ferrule blasters, and they were just looking hot, and so that was pretty good. And we just had it was a really good show, and people got a lot of buzz about it. And then we met up with some of the guys from Ferguson, and I obviously had a relationship with a company here called Hirsch, and they just were like, yeah, we want you in the stores. And so that just kind of started it, and then we went from there. It was kind of a whirlwind. But once I sold, like I brought 10 cases to that show, and we sold all 10 of them, and then we had 8 demo units. I sold all day 8 demo units as well, and we still had like an hour left. They wouldn't let us leave. They wouldn't let us break down. They're like, no, you just got to sit here for an hour.
You got to sit here and sell nothing. You just got to hand out some brochures.
Just, talk about the Ferrule Blaster to anybody that comes by. So that was a really good experience. And so it just kind of was weird from then, because then we started doing some counter days. And like I said, it's very difficult to get into plumbing supply houses if you don't have a distributor. They literally almost don't want to talk to you. You might as well be selling them vacuum cleaners. So it was I was very fortunate to have the relationship with Hirsch. They had 20 branches here and they allowed me to, get into those. And then, Ferguson allowed me into their branches. We started with like 20 stores here in Southern California. And then we, just kind of branched out from there and tried to hit up as many places as we could.
That's sweet. You said you were doing plumbing before this. Like, what kind of plumbing were you doing? It's just, I know there's a lot of plumbing. Would you kind of have
repair.
Just repair anything with drain cleaning?
Simple stuff. I mean, I always kind of looked at like, I'd had a couple helpers, and I was always thinking maybe I should get another truck. And I had my brother working for me before, but it's just like, this is a pain in the ass. As you know, this is a pain in the ass. I mean, the moment you decide to put the boss hat on, you're basically become a glorified babysitter.
It's not one hat, it's 20 hats, even 30 if you want to count them.
Yeah, because you got psychologists, and then you got like a daycare dad and all those things. And, everybody's got their issues. But I don't know. I always just like doing it myself. And I see a lot of guys on Instagram that are like totally into plumbing. I was never that guy. I did it, and I did it well, but I never was like, love plumbing. I just can't wait to get up and go and unclog someone's toilet or crawl under a house and that's all muddy with, spiders and dead skunks. I mean, there were a lot of parts of the job that didn't appeal to me, but I like people, and so that was probably my, what probably got me through a lot of that is I'm very service oriented. So regardless of what I do, I try to, give the people what they're paying for.
Yeah.
That's always been my motto. Just give people what they're paying for. Whatever it is you're charging them, you better be giving them what they're paying for.
Well, just like the product you have there, we get what we're paying for.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like like some people are like, oh, that's way too much money. And it's like, everything's way too much money. Let's just be honest. I'm not ever really that satisfied about what I'm paying for things. I think they're all too expensive. But in the reality, especially with the Ferrule blaster, that thing, let's be honest, it kills. It makes that job so much easier. It's not even funny.
Well, honestly, it's like when I've said it was expensive, it just mean like, as per tool, every tool you can call it expensive, but it doesn't mean it's not worth the money, right? You can say something's expensive, but it doesn't mean we're not buying at the end of the day.
It's expensive? ProPress.
Yep. Yeah.
I just bought one of those, and let me tell you, that did not make me very happy when I bought it.
Yeah, but, no, even wrenches are expensive. Like, let's say aluminum wrenches, they're close to a cost too, right? And there are knockoffs that are wrenches that are cheaper as well, but do you want the quality behind it? Do you want the person behind it? Or do you just want something that's just another name?
Well, another thing is when you're doing plumbing service, you're doing like 500 different jobs, which means you have to have tools to do like 500 different jobs. Like, we had, there's like a drill bit kit that you buy to drill through cast iron sinks. And it's like a 2-bit drill kit. So you drill through the porcelain first, and then it's another kit that drills through the cast iron. And it's $75. And it's awesome for that. Like drilling holes in cast iron sinks, if you want to put another tap in or a soap dispenser, air gap, whatever, it's awesome for that. But it's $75.
Yeah.
And you might use it once or twice a year. But when you need it, it's like the most awesome thing ever. Well, the Ferrule blaster is $75, and you change angle stops all the time. Like, all the time. Like, every time you change a faucet, every time you change a toilet. Heck, half the times that you maintenance those things, you'll have to change that angle stop valve.
It's expensive for the people who don't change them.
It's not for them. It's for plumbers. I didn't make this for homeowner Bill. Now, if homeowner Bill wants to buy it, he's welcome to go and get it. But it's not who it's for. It's for plumbing contractors. It's for plumbing service. And I hate to even say it, but I'll let, a handyman want to use it, let a handyman have it. I don't care. I want everybody to be able to remove ferrules because I want everybody to be able to change the escutcheon. You don't remove the ferrule, you don't remove that nut, that dirty, nasty escutcheon just sits there.
Personally, I do like it quite a bit. Like, I've used the Pasco once before, and it got stuck on me, and I still had to cut the thing in half, and in the end, the ferrule just broke, and the whole tool is gone, and that was like $100 of mine too. So, yeah, that sucked.
Right. And so, when you think about it, and then I always ask people whenever they tell me it's too expensive because, I don't know if you've heard this, but plumbers get accused of like raping people all the time for being overpriced for what our skill set is.
Oh yeah.
So I always ask plumbers like, well, how much does your company or you charge to change one angle stop valve? And nobody says $30.
Nobody says $75. I mean, maybe some do, but that's
so almost everybody I know is like $85. Like we charge $85 if we're already at the job to change an angle stop valve with the supply line, and that's cheap. I've heard people that are doing it for $125. Hell, Luigi the plumber, if he's watching, that guy basically told me he charges $225 to change an angle stop valve.
Hey, I do that.
You should have two Ferrule blasters. That's all I'm saying. It's if you can buy a tool and buy that tool by doing the job one time, or maybe two, or if you're an employee, maybe you have to sell 4 angle stop valves, but then that Ferrule blaster's yours. Come on.
Yeah, you do one job and you get one back, so there's no difference on it.
And then, there's going to be some tough ones that you're going to have to use 2 hands on, but for the most part, when you just go in there and go like this, and it just comes off, it's like laughable. Nobody has lowered their price for angle stop valves since they got a Ferrule blaster either.
Nope. So when you were doing plumbing and everything before that, how did you kind of stumble across Ferrule blaster? Like, how did you stumble across the product, and what made you feel like you had to make a product like that?
I'll show you.
Oh, shit's getting fancy here. I like it.
Look familiar?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, this is what I used to have when I first started plumbing. They told me to use channel locks, and if channel locks didn't work, I had to get my tiny Tim and cut the freaking ferrule and snap it with a screwdriver.
If channel locks didn't work, I don't even know how many times channel lock would work.
It worked like 15% of the time. And then one day when we were at the supply house, I was like, I saw this on the wall. I was like, dude, what is that? They're like, oh, that's a tool to remove, these angle stop. I'm like, why don't we have one of those? And this was back in, what, 88? So there was no ferrule blaster. And so the reason I immediately bought this after I saw it, I was like, if you guys aren't, they're like, if you want to buy it, I'm like, yeah, give me that. It's like, duh. But what I hated about this more than anything is, you notice how all the edges are really sharp?
Yeah.
Like, I was cutting myself on this thing. And then this is back before the day before they had the actual hex nut where you could put your ratchet or your drill on it.
Right.
You literally had to sit there and twist this stupid little thing. And it was the most annoying thing. And I cut my knuckles on these sharp edges like a couple times. And so I was really pissed. And so I spent some time in the hot tub. And I don't know, I might do some greenery every once in a while, like daily, but that's not the point. This is what I came up with. This is the original ferrule blaster right here. Now, if you notice, this is another one of those big pulls.
Yeah.
But if you notice, I shaved down all those freaking hard corners because this was mine. I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. All those stupid hard corners. And then I cut these things shorter as well because that thing was like way too long. I was like, doesn't need to be that long. So then whenever I morphed it with this caulking gun, I basically used this in the field for 2 years. This is back from 2004.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how it's all battered and stuff. And then, unfortunately, this is kind of a precursor to what I faced after I started making them. This piece right here, which I call the yoke, it snapped. And I was just like, oh, shit. And so I went to get another one of these caulking guns, and I figured I'll just steal that part out of there and put it in. Well, it's like they realized that they didn't need that hard of metal to push caulking through a tube, so they started making it out of this cheap-ass composite. And so it just started snapping, like snap, snap. And so I went through like 3 of those, and I was like, oh, crap, I'm not going to be able to get one that works. And so that started my journey of looking on how to actually make it.
Wow.
And so that's the original ferrule blaster right there for...
So...
Yep.
So that journey that you had, like when did it exactly come into fruition?
Well, it was long. I would say that, I probably started the rapid prototyping process in 2006. And I funded this all on my own. Basically, I took any disposable income that I had and I put it into this thing for years. And so I went and did some rapid prototyping. I have a junior college right across the street from me, Saddleback College. And they had a little room that had rapid prototyping. And so I went over there. My neighbor sent me an article about it, and I was like, oh, cool. So I went over there, and, sure enough, these guys started, I had them design. What was great was they were like a nonprofit. They were charging me $35 an hour to do CAD work.
Wow. That's really good.
And then they were like doing models. They did, 3D printed models, and they got the 3D printed models how, I wanted them. Then we'd go and cast them in aluminum, and then I had a machinist that was making some parts. And then when it came down to it, everybody likes to say, make it in America. And it's like, I wanted to make it in America, but here's the problem with making it in America. It's the same thing as the issue with the distributors. They all want you to make 10,000 of them or sell, they don't want to make 2,000. Nobody wants to do tooling to make 2,000 of anything.
Yeah.
And so, not knowing if I was going to sell 1 billion of these things, and then obviously not being able to come up the money to buy 10,000 of them, I was just like, this isn't happening. And so I, went on Alibaba.com, which is a Chinese eBay basically, and I had, the thing was this: I toured some foundries and I toured some machine shops here, and no one would, they would say, oh yeah, and then I'd be like, all right, can I get a quote? And they'd be like, yeah, we'll get you a quote in a day or two. And then they would just never quote me. And then whenever I'd finally get a hold of the guy, like, he'd finally admitted a week later, like, yeah, we don't really, 2,000. And it's like, okay, you could have just said that from the beginning. I didn't have to tour the factory. I mean, what the hell? Like,
yeah.
ask me what my MOQ is. I'll tell you 2,000, and you can say suck off, and I will. Like whatever. But
It's like those
so
plumbers that go to your house and then give you that quote.
right, right. And so it's just like, okay, so I went on Alibaba and I just sent out like 2 or 3 drawings to like 10 different companies, and the next day I had 8 quotes.
Wow, that's
So I
way
was
better.
like, well, at least these guys appear to be interested. But what I found out was a lot of what goes on in Alibaba is you got these brokers that speak English, and they basically work in lieu with these factories. They're not involved with the factory. They're just the English speaking guy that's there to be the liaison. And so you get horse shit a lot. And so that was kind of a tragedy that I went through several years of
Just finding the
companies.
right one.
Well, they just wouldn't deliver on what they said. And then I found an American guy that actually owns a factory over there that lives there with his Chinese wife. And I was just like, okay, and he seemed really smart. So I went with him, and it's not all been perfect. I've had my issues, but we went through a terrible heat treatment issue, which is why a lot of my ferrule blasters were breaking originally. And which is kind of funny because whenever I was doing heat treatment with this like guy from, I want to say like Scotland, he's like Scottish in Huntington Beach, and he'd be like, you can't get this stuff done in China. They can't heat treat for shit there. I'm just like, come on, they're a huge country. Of course they can heat treat. He's like, no, they don't know how to heat treat yet there. And I was like, okay, well I found out they don't know how to heat treat there.
So where did you end up making them? Is it still made in China right now?
In China, but I've gone through a lot of different things before we finally got it. Like when we finally got it right, that's when we changed to the red bozo knob. That signifies basically the
Second version.
evolution and the step up and how it should be.
So going back to that process side, then would you say it kind of took like, would that be like almost like 5-6 years until the tool actually came into production?
Well, the thing that sucked was, we started in '06 and everything started going good, but then the housing crisis hit in like 2008, and the plumbing business really struggled. We were in a recession for 5 or 6 years. And so I didn't have the disposable income to just be pushing into it. It was more like trying to keep my house and, food and all that stuff. So that was the hardest part, is getting through all that. And then the real breakthrough happened when I met Walter from Black River Company. That was probably, I want to say in like 2014. Maybe even, 2014 is when I think I met up with him. And we basically got it done and got everything up and running and completed by 16. So
that's a lot of endeavors. So it's almost like, it's like 10 years in the making almost, eh?
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, it probably could have been done better if I was a better manager. I mean, just being honest, or if I was more internet savvy and, into all this crowdsourcing that goes on and stuff. I'm sure I could have probably done something differently if I'd have had a different ambition level. But I just tried to just do it, while I was doing my plumbing and just trying to, I didn't want to just call it a hobby. I knew that someday if I could get it right, it would be, it would be a good change of life. But it's more difficult than I thought. It really is, for the people that, I get 100 people coming up to me every year like, hey, I thought of this, or I thought of that. You should make this, or hey, you should add a telescope to that thing, or it's like this.
you should add a red laser dot sight on that ferrule blaster.
I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, where do you like? So, but people are always like, I got this idea for this tool, and everybody's like, I got this idea, and I just like look and listen to what I'm telling you. You have to put a lot of money into a business before you ever put the first sale down. Like, between attempting to get a patent and in between getting just my liability insurance alone, just to be in Ferguson, cost me like $4,500 a year.
Wow.
So like, I try to explain to people, like, do you know how many ferrule blasters I have to sell to make enough to cover $4,500 just to have insurance? Like, that's just the start, right? Like, all these, like, to have a business, whatever that business is, the liability insurance you got to have, trademarks that are, everything's, all this stuff's constantly renewing,
And
you gotta have,
is a ferrule blaster patented as well?
no, it's not patented. I tried to get a patent and basically got screwed by a patent attorney who should have told me that I couldn't patent it because the utility patent is already the big pull. This has already had the utility patent for years, and so there is no utility patent. And so after that, I was like, well, should I get a design patent? And I just thought, no, anybody changes one little thing on a design patent, and they basically can go right around it. So it's just kind of, even just having a patent is pretty pointless if you can't defend it.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at like Apple and Samsung, they just sue each other all day long because they just keep stealing each other's patents.
That's how the things go nowadays.
But if, like, say someone stole my tool, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go sue them and spend $20,000 while their whole lawyer team that they've got on retainer just sits there and just keeps sending them paperwork?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah,
eventually, people always say before I started, like, oh, you got to worry about people stealing it. You got to worry about this. And it's just like, if you're going to worry about that, you can't do shit in life. You're paralyzed.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be paralyzed by fear. If that happens, it happens.
It's definitely different nowadays. I feel like the way you put yourself out is a lot more social media oriented versus, back in the day it's all about there's just that one product, and you really try to get it out yourself in a different way and how people can copy you differently and you will sue them. But nowadays everybody's copying each other.
Right. I mean, I'm surprised that I've gone now, 4 years and nobody's made one yet. So, I mean, in the end, there's a lot that goes into all that tooling, and maybe some companies just don't feel like it's worth it. There's always a better idea. I've got better ideas for a better ferrule puller, but I don't want to go and spend another $100,000 to find out.
That's true. You don't. It's not. You've already made it so well. There's no need to perfect it even more because by that time, you change so much. Honestly, for us, I feel like ferrules and compression is kind of going out of style, right? Other than probably, I think the UK still uses it a lot with their compression style coppers.
It's just kind of like galvanized, like galvanized has been out for so long, but you still go to houses and see galvanized.
You still need a tool for it.
Right, so the tool is still going to be necessary. So, no matter what, they're building all the new houses in PEX, and I get that, and I'm, whatever. But there's millions of houses with these ferrules and with the copper. And I mean, I do get these calls, on Instagram. You see these guys from, Great Britain and Australia hitting me up all the time because they want it to be in metric. So I'm making a metric nose. And as soon as I get my website switched around, I'm getting ready to update the website to reflect the company name instead of just Ferrule Blaster because I'm bringing on the second tool.
That's more news in a sec. So, tell us a little bit about what was different from the first version and your second version that you've made afterwards. Why did you have to make that change and have that red knob afterwards?
The only reason that I made the red knob was so I could differentiate for warranty purposes. And I just think of course, obviously it adds color, which is, makes people wonder, like, what's different about the red knob? It's red. I mean,
it's red.
But it signifies the, like I said, the evolution of stepping away from the braking parts, because I literally was going through, I was having probably a break rate of about 8%. It was terrible, so imagine, 8 out of 100 coming back.
What do you do with those 8? Do you give them the full return? Oh, okay.
I give it like within the first year, if anybody had any problems, they could take it back to anywhere they bought it, and they would just have to give them a new one. And that's another thing that supply houses aren't very apt to do. They don't like returning tools, but I kind of made that deal with them. Like, I want you to return this. I need the customer to have the confidence to buy this new tool. So I need you to be able to take it back and give them another one if it breaks.
Yeah.
And they all have done that. And then, of course, the problem with that is the moment you put a warranty out like that, then everybody's trying to game you. You
Yeah.
know, because I mean, after a couple years, you're like, all right, these have been out for a while, and that's one of the first units from 2016. I still have people trying to like, act like, hey, but it's like in the end, I tell, hey, if it's out of warranty and it's broken, I'll fix it for free. I'll send you parts, and
Yeah.
that's something we're going to do on the website, the new website as well. Is I'll have the repair parts, and you
A
just gonna have to
video.
pay. You have to pay for shipping, but whatever, I'll ship them to you for free. As well as like people lose their nose because they don't understand that it screws off for a reason.
Yeah.
So I'll have replacement noses on there where you just have to pay shipping, and I'll send them to you. Because like I said, I don't want anybody to be pissed. I don't want anybody to be bent. Like I see some guys on on Instagram saying, oh yeah, I had one of those pieces of shit, it broke. And then you ask them, well, like, what'd you do? And they're like, I threw it away. And it's like, what?
You don't even give the company a chance to, come back from
I
it.
threw it away. I mean, like for
And you
everybody
just
that complains about it being $75, they're like, you just threw it away. It broke on the second try. You used it, and then you just threw it away. I have a hard time believing that. So I always tell them, like, show me. What do you mean you threw it away? Like that's. But I'm like, I wish I had your bank account. If you could just buy tools and they break and they just throw away.
Hey, I remember mine was broken. You sent me parts, and we fixed ours. It was brand new. Looks brand new now.
Right.
I can attest to that.
If I'm at plumbing supply houses and I talk to plumbers that are there and they have bought one and it doesn't have the red one, I'll ask them to give it to me and I'll swap the parts there whether they broke it or not.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want these things to break. So if I see someone that has one of the old ones, I'll swap the parts out right there. Because I want it to be awesome. I want everybody to have, it crushed me when they started breaking. I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Because I tested them. Like, I did all kinds of tests and never could break one. And then all of a sudden they started, like, just snapping. Like, I was just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we don't know what this guy's doing.
Well, this hurts your feelings, Then you're like, well, how can we fix it? The one good thing about my guy in China is when I've had issues and I tell him, like, I've had to, like, swap out. Last year I had to swap out 3,000 units to those red knobs. I had 3,000 units in my garage that I had to basically open up each one of them, take them apart, put the new pieces in, and put them back together.
That's a pain. I'll tell you that right now. Even switching for me, it was painful, but I think I need to switch probably like 10 to get faster.
Oh, I had to put like thimbles and stuff on my thumbs because my thumbs were getting like blisters and stuff. Because and then I started like learning a different routine on how to do it, like assembly line skill. But yeah, that was a great way to spend my summer last year. So and I was like, all right, 2020 is going to be my year. And then the virus came and wrecked my trip to China. And so these units that I have here, they've got there's some issues with the blister pack where like one of the blisters doesn't want to seal, and I call him, I'm just like, dude, I know I was supposed to be there to do this assembly, but you gonna tell me that not one of you guys could have noticed that none of these blister packs are closing right? Like, how did you put all these in a box and not say anything? So just stupid stuff like that where it's just like, I want it to be perfect, and it just seems like there's always something that's just a little.
Shit always happens, man. But it's awesome to hear that story from, like, a lot of times we talk to, companies like Rigid or Vega and all these, how they've already grown and how they are, but we're never able to see, like, the growth of a smaller company of how the process is made from an actual product that goes into fruition, right? And then hearing your story, it's, it's fascinating of what you've made from the Ferrule Blaster.
I am fascinated by it as well. I mean, I envisioned that it would go really well if I could get it out there and I could brand it the right way. And I feel like I've done that. There's not a lot of branding that goes on in plumbing tools. And I think that's one of the big mistakes. And so you're going to see, my next tool that comes out, it's going to have another brand that's going to roll off of people's tongues. And it's just going to be a name that's going to be known, in plumbing for years. And I feel like that's kind of one of the things that kind of sets me aside. Even though I don't know how to do a lot of this other stuff that people are way better than me at, I feel like I'm pretty good at branding, and I know, the difference between quality and a piece of shit. And
yeah,
I'm not looking at a piece of shit out there.
No, they're quality though. I held it in my hand. It ain't some light piece of crap. And which brings us to our next section, which, thank you, Adam. We are doing a giveaway live on the show. So for everybody who doesn't know about it, it's too late now. We've already chosen, the people that would win depending on who takes it first. So, whoa.
It's not gonna be the Frankenstein though.
Oh, it's not gonna be the Frankenstein. Okay. I gotta make myself a gold one, you know. But anyway,
I'm surprised you don't have one already.
I will paint mine gold after this for you. So we got the list. We have a list of people here, but it depends on who answers first. So the first person who is the winner of this giveaway would be 907 Plumber, and that's Everett. So Everett, if you are on this channel, say hi on Twitch or say hi on YouTube. You probably have about, give you like 2 minutes, and within that time, we will see.
Where would I be able to see these comments, Terrence? Is that something I get to see?
It's kind of hard, but you can go on either twitch.com on the Impetus, or you can go on YouTube, and then there'll be a live comment section. If you look on here, I have a little list, but I don't know how well the writing is because it blurs out everything. But here's the list that I have over here, and then there's another list that my girlfriend has right beside me.
Nice.
I don't think Guerrero is the person, but thanks for being here, Guerrero. Did Everett answer? Okay, we will be moving on. Next person who was chosen. Pardon?
Does that mean that Everett loses because he didn't answer?
Yes, correct. You have to be on the show, but Everett will have another chance.
So free for you.
Next person is Walter Hill. Do we have a Walter Hill in here today? This is the best part I like about the show, because I tell people there's a lot of chances, because a lot of people can't make it sometimes, but being live on the show, you can actually have a really high chance of winning the product.
Well, it's only 4 o'clock or 4:30 here, so most people are still working.
Where are you out of? Are you in the same time zone? Are you also at 4 p.m.?
I'm in Mission Viejo, which is in South Orange County,
Yeah.
California.
Oh, it is the same time zone, literally.
Yeah, same time zone, Pacific Standard. But, you know, I mean, I don't know how late you guys work over there, obviously, all the time. But for the most part, most people work here till 5 or 6.
Obviously, I don't work.
Daylight savings is like one of those things where it's like, if it's still daylight, for some reason, customers seem to think that plumbers should just keep working.
Yeah, and they'll call you after 7, 8, 9, 10, you know?
You're like, dude, I'm eating dinner and, like, getting ready to put my kid in the bath.
Or it's 6 o'clock, can you come tomorrow at 8? Dude, I mean, if somebody can actually come the next day in such a short notice and you tell them at 8 a.m., then that business is definitely not having business. I mean, that's the only answer I can give you.
Hey, I don't start my day till 9, so if anybody calls and asks for an 8 a.m. appointment, I just say no.
Yeah.
Like, sorry,
Bold City says he needs a Bold Blaster.
My dog has a routine, and this is how it works. I can be there at 9.
Same over here. So now Walter Hill's not here, so the next person we do have is Guerrero Plumber. I know this guy's here today, so Guerrero, congratulations, Giovanni. You have won a Ferrule Blaster. Give us your information later, and Adam will send another one out. And during this time, after this show, we're gonna do, what is it, two more giveaways with the Ferrule Blaster, Adam?
2 more giveaways. I think we could. I was thinking that we could do one, like, if anybody wants to guess how many ferrules are in that bucket behind me.
Oh, okay, that's a fun one. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna add or take away any ferrules.
Take a picture for me of that one, and then afterwards we'll post it up together, and then we'll add it up. That's a pretty fun one, actually. I haven't had that in a while. It's like a jelly bean guess.
Which means, of course, I'm gonna have to fucking count them things. Why do I open my mouth sometimes?
Great idea for work for yourself.
Hey, I got a lot of free time, so you know what? I keep all these spent ferrules that we do when we do our counter day. Well, we used to do our counter days, but you know what I do generally is I take these. I smash these ferrules on in this vise. I've got the angle stop in there, And
Yeah.
then I cut these things with my little Milwaukee thing, just hundreds of them, 2 inches. And then I crank these things on here, and then I put them in a bucket, and then I'll take them to the supply houses so that people can actually pull off of them.
That's how you get the testers.
And so I've got so many of these things. I mean, I've just got like thousands of them just from all the ferrules that we've pulled off in all the shows. And so, we bring a vise with us because there's always that plumber that's like, what if it's really cranked on there? And I'm like, go ahead and really crank it on there. And then they do. And then the ferrule puller works, and then they're just like,
Give me that.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, give me one of those. It's pretty easy to sell when you can do that. Like, it's just like anything else. If you can show them, it's one thing, but if you can let them actually do it. So that's been a big part of my success is I've been willing to put in the little things. So when we did our booth, I did a booth with two pillars that have these things on all four sides sticking out, ready to go to where you could just replace them, like in a butt plug. So I'd have 4 butt plugs, and so you could just pull them out whenever after they use it, put a new one in, and they could just come up, and hit it with the ferrule blaster just like this.
Perfect. Easy as that.
So having everybody being able to actually come and feel it and actually feel how easy it is, because it just, when you see it in videos, it doesn't even look real. It just doesn't.
It looks too easy.
It does. You're like, there's no way, that's an easy one. And they don't realize that, it does the hard ones like that too. I mean, you might, like I said, the real hard ones you might have to get down on. But
it's nice. We've had a lot of views on it too, especially when we put it on TikTok. I got to show you some videos afterwards. But I'm going to go back to the show a little bit and ask a little bit more question about testing these ferrule blasters. How do you test these ferrule blasters, and what does the testing actually consist of?
Well, for me, for my personal test, I'll put them in there and I'll mash these things down and I'll put them in hand tight and I'll go like a full turn and maybe even another half turn, which is way more than any person could do with 2 wrenches. And then I'll mash them off, and if they're tight. One of the things, like, whenever we were having our braking issue, I had my guy in China, Walter, I had him make a jig. I don't know if you saw a picture of that jig, but it's a machine, actually. I think I put some videos on it one time or another.
It's the, hold up, I'm gonna put the picture up. That's literally the question I was gonna ask about what this jig is. I have the picture up right now. So you remember the picture I sent you earlier? So that's the jig, right?
That is. So they basically put that in there, and then they've got it put onto some pressure pump or something, and they pump it a few times to make sure that it'll do a certain amount of pressure, to know that it's, going to hold up. So it's not really anything crazy. It's a thing that, pushes the thing, and then it's got a stop where the nose goes to, really give it to where they can put a squeeze on it and make sure that they weren't snapping, because that's what was happening. People were putting a good squeeze on it, and then all of a sudden that black yolk in the middle was just snapping. And then, of course, it was pinching people's hands. Like, because that's what happens. That's why I say to put gloves on. Wear gloves with the ferrule blaster, just in case.
Just in case.
Okay, eye protection too. Yeah. But that's what was happening, is they would break, and then, of course, people get mad and throw it on the ground. And
that's what's been happening. I mean, we don't use them enough to even have that issue, but I'm pretty sure now that we've changed all ours to red anyway, we're not going to have that problem. I think we've only bought one of the first versions. The other dozen I bought from you were all red.
Right, the other ones were all red, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that part is really, it brings me a lot of joy that that's fixed, because it was really embarrassing. I can't say that enough. It was really, really embarrassing. When you're used to putting out, top notch, maybe not top notch, but I like to think of myself in the top 5-7% of the world of things that I do. Period.
Yeah.
So, I'm not looking to have any reason for anybody to criticize me. I'm always looking to make sure I'm covering my ass.
You want to put 100% into that product. You don't want people to have that kind of misunderstanding, thinking Ferrule Blaster's a piece of shit and you just want to make money from them.
Right. Look, I mean, look, I like making money like anybody else, but I tell people think, oh, you're a millionaire now. And it's like, no.
If it
Do
was that
some
easy.
math. I mean, I don't make the $75. That's not what I get. And even if I did, you times that by whatever and figure out how I can pay off my $100,000 of debt. Okay.
The overhead is different now. You know, back in the day, you had, you still had your company insurance, you had van insurance, you had a van you had to take care of, you had some office work, computers, all the things that are standing as overhead. But nowadays, people don't they don't see the overhead of creating the tool. Of what you're saying, you also need insurance for the tool as well. Because I didn't even know you needed $400 to $500 of insurance, like
Just to be at Ferguson.
just to be at Ferguson.
Like just a regular liability policy, like most of the companies' liability policy is about $2,500, and then Ferguson adds another $2 million on top of that, so that extra policy costs you another $2,000.
So does that mean just for Ferguson alone, when you talk about Hirsch and all these other ones, you also have to pay for those policies?
No, those policies all fall under the same umbrella. But if I didn't have Ferguson, I would be able to basically have a $2 million policy instead of a $4 million policy.
Because practically, you have to sell pretty much 60 Ferrule blasters. I did the quick math on the computer to actually get through the first year with Ferguson, regardless.
Right.
Wow.
And I mean, but Ferguson buys a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that obviously makes it worth its while. They're my largest customer. I'm probably in over 200 stores. You know, we're in stores in Florida. We're in Fort Ferguson's in like Chicago. We do have some spread. We definitely have Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, Washington. All of those stores, all those Fergusons have the Ferrule blaster. So
That's sweet.
it's just hard to. It's really difficult to get in stores without distribution. I can't say that enough. So when people say they're going to have a product, I'm like, unless you can like hook up distribution, you're wasting your time, because trying to get it in stores is very costly. Like I had a rep before, and I mean, you figure to have a rep, everything that goes with it, that's $85,000, $90,000 a year.
Yeah.
And how many Ferrule blasters you got to sell for that?
Too many. Too many.
So I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, this is my only tool, and I can't do it all myself. And
Yeah.
I am now. My rep's no longer with me, but it's like you have to. It costs a lot of money to do, just to get on the shelf.
Yep.
I mean, it just does. Like, because you have to put in the legwork. It's not. You can't email and you can't phone call people.
Sounds hard. I don't even want to make my own product now.
It's I tell people you should make it if you feel like it's something that can make you enough money to make it worth your while. Like, I did the math on that pretty early with the Ferrule blaster. If it was a $35 tool, I'd never be able to make it worth my while.
Yeah.
It never would be. So it's like, how much does it have to make for it to be worth my while in the long run? After all the R&D, after all the, because everything, like, I financed everything on my own, no problem, up until the point that I had to do my first order. And then that was like $80,000.
Ooh.
So, yeah. And it's like $40,000 up front and $40,000 when it hits the boat. So, in a 3-month period, I'm like, how am I going to come up with $80,000? Well, I know how. You go in debt. That's how.
You borrow.
Right. So now you would just go on Kickstarter or something and be like, hey, plumbers. But then plumbers would be
No
like,
plumbers go on Kickstarters. Like, I try to get plumbers on fucking Twitch. Nobody comes on Twitch, right? I mean, I still don't care. I'm still gonna go on Twitch just because I do it for the next generation. It's not technically for let's be honest, it's not technically for boomers. But that's why we're trying to get to YouTube as well, and now we're doing a double stream.
Well, you're doing what's being done. This is what's being done now. This is how it's being done. And
Yeah.
This is another thing that I'm finding out about my plumbing business. I don't have a website for my plumbing business, which means I don't have a plumbing business.
Practically, yeah.
Period. Like, you just have to realize that this is the world we live in. There isn't a Yellow Pages anymore.
Yeah.
Those days are over. So if you aren't at least having a web page, and then if you're not doing social, Like I had the kid doing some pictures for me the other day, and he's like, "You need to be on social." The guy's got 70,000 followers on the gram, and I think that's absurd. And he's like, "Dude, you go and you start selling this stuff on Facebook ads, and you start." He's like, and I'm like, "Yeah, but I hate Zuckerberg." He's like, "Yeah, you got to like let that like go away because
he hurts your business."
He runs Instagram too. You can't get away from that guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, okay, so if I can't get away from him, I might as well dive all the way in. Because I used to have a Ferrule Blaster Facebook account, but I killed it with my personal account. I was just like, this guy's such a dastardly fuck. I don't want to support him. And
I feel you.
Unfortunately, there's not much choice. You know, if you want to be, you know, YouTube only goes so far. Like you said, Twitch only goes so far. You have to be on all these major things.
Yep.
And I'm just not down because I don't love myself. So I don't love myself like with that kind of. I have a lot of vanity.
Yeah.
I don't want to share it with everybody. Like I'm not looking to share all my vanity with everybody and tell them. I don't know. Some people really are just natural at it, and I'm just like, I don't want to just. I grew up like where if you put your head over the fence, you're probably gonna get a rock thrown at you.
I feel you. You just want to. You just want to not put your head over that fence.
But if you want, you know, but at the same time, we all want to be cherished and we all want to be acknowledged. And so, you know, and some of us aren't getting the acknowledgement we deserve. And by doing this, they are getting the acknowledgement.
That's kind of like how business is done nowadays, right? Like I've watched a lot of videos here and there, and practically the people are saying now that if you're running a business, you're actually running a media company as well. Because how are you going to get the recognition? How are you going to get the brand out there nowadays? It's all through social. Like, you can't just make a website nowadays and just fucking think doing some SEO will make your company go up there. Like, for us, you know, we have huge companies over there. How the hell did we know them back in the days? Because they're all over Yellow Pages. But now there's no fucking Yellow Pages, right? Or billboards. Well, how the hell are going to people find you? They're not going to search the first thing on Google and just search straight up your name. It's about how well somebody knows your brand. And that's what it is.
The other day you were doing a video and you were talking about hiring, and it's like, here's how you send me your resume is give me your links to your social, and I'll tell you whether you're good at your job or not in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, because that's it. It's like if somebody's like, you tell somebody about the Ferrule Blaster, and they're going to be like, Ferrule Blaster, they're going to Google it. Like, they're not looking to, like, go and read the Popular Mechanics or freaking Wholesaler magazine. They're just going to go right to their phone or right to their computer and look your shit up. And they look at all of it.
Yeah, they're going to look at everything. They're going to look at reviews. They're going to look at pictures of it. They're going to look at videos of how people use it. Everything all at once is right in the palm of their hands.
Right. So if you don't have it, you're in the Stone Ages. And so my plumbing business right now is in the Stone Ages. And, well, because one of the things is whenever I left, I was kind of like, I was not handing it over to my brother, but I was like, if you can show me something, I'll give you more. And if you can show me more, I'll give you more. Well, he never ended up showing me much. So it's like I try to tell him, like, I'm not gonna right?
Yeah, no, I feel you. It's true.
It's like I gave you the opportunity to either kick ass or just to basically, you know, wade in your own water. I mean, but if all you're gonna do is float and you're not gonna basically start swimming anywhere, I'm not gonna go and put any effort in if you're not.
Yeah. No, like it makes sense.
You know, in the end, I just need you to pay my mortgage. Like, I don't, you know, I'm not looking for $1 billion, but
yeah.
But you know, it's hard because, you know, people aren't ambitious.
No, it's true. I mean, people don't understand that you have to work for it. You know, there's so many things that don't just come with your hands being put out and just asking. Sometimes you have, not sometimes, but all the time, you have to put the work in for it.
Well, one day the Matrix will be where, you know, when Elon comes out with the Neuralink, you'll be able to be like the Matrix and learn Kung Fu in like 35 seconds.
Yeah.
But until then, you got to go through the school of hard knocks and you got to learn. Like, everybody's got to pay their dues. No one just wakes up and knows how to use a toilet auger.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just something that's natural. It's like a golf swing almost, like.
A little bit harder, put a drill on it, then you're good.
Like, that ain't smooth at all. It's like, yeah, but you got to feel it. They're like, feel what? Like, yeah.
I don't feel anything.
What am I supposed to be feeling for again?
So, You know, I'm coming back to the near end of my show because it's going to be a bit too long. I don't want to make this too long of a segment. But I do have one last question for you about what's coming up next for the Ferrule Blaster. So earlier you did say there is another tool coming up. I don't know how much you can share, but I have a question myself. Are you going to be doing, bigger sizes for the Ferrule Blaster as well? Let's just say 3/4 or, just 3/4, I guess. I haven't even seen a 1-inch one.
People ask me all the time if I'm going to do different sizes for the Ferrule Blaster, and no is the answer. And the reason that no is the answer is this: when I have these things made, this faceplate right here, these screws that go in it are glued in so they don't come out. And so if we were going to do a 3/4 one, we would have to change that faceplate as well as the nose. Like, I could easily make a nose that screws on there that's 3/4, and that would be no problem. It's the faceplate. And so to make an interchangeable faceplate or to have a second faceplate just doesn't make sense, because one, it would be another piece that someone could lose. Okay.
Yeah.
And secondly, there's just not enough
3/4 out in the world.
There's just not enough situations out there that would justify. Like, everybody changes half-inch angle stops all day long.
Yeah.
Okay, but every once in a while you'll see a compression ball valve that's 3/4 and you wish you could pull the ferrules off. I get that, but how often is that really? It's just not often. I'm sure that there's someone out there that's like, man, I do that all day. I pull 3/4 inch ferrules off. I'm like,
I mean, that's just him. I just ask it for fun because, but I've actually haven't even pulled out a 3/4 one in my life. I mean, I haven't plumbed for long, but it's about 11 years at least, I'll tell you that.
Right. So it's like, it's a never thing. So even though people act like they want it, and then here's the thing, below half-inch, 3/8, 1/4 inch, that's all on soft copper. You ain't pulling that shit off. So
it's so cheap, man. Just fucking cut the line. I wouldn't pull it anyways.
It ain't coming off. So that's the answer to the other sizes. And then as for my next tool, I'm making a tub drain remover. And it's going to be called the Tub Twister.
Oh, okay. The Tub Twister.
Tub Twister. That's already trademarked, so don't even try, fools. Okay.
That's why you can share it.
That's why I can share it. I've already got that trademark. So what it is it's going to be like a super tool that's going to do all the things. So the dumbbell that most people use. I'll try to make this quick because I know we're going over. So the dumbbell that most people use is kind of like that, along with the Easy Out that another company makes that only does the big drains though. So I basically made it to where it has an Easy Out that does the small drain, followed by an Easy Out that does the big drain, and it has a little tub shoe on there. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm expecting the latest. I've had two prototypes show up already that didn't do what well, the first one worked fine, but it was too much looking like the other one, so I wanted to kind of change it up so I can get my own design patent on it. But that's going down. So hopefully in the next, if I get that thing today, and I've already got my bathtub drain, I cut the cross out of it so I can go and test it. I got to test it at my own house, right? So I'm really
where else are you gonna test it?
Yeah, where else are you gonna test it, right? So that's kind of what's coming up next. Other than that, I'm just waiting for the virus to end so I can, hit the road and go to some new states. And and I know you asked about Canada. We were selling on Amazon in Canada, but when the virus hit, Amazon stopped taking everything that wasn't sanitizer or toilet paper, so we couldn't restock. And so that's why I started pushing towards my website. And then I just realized, like, why should I give Amazon my money?
Yeah.
When I get my new website up and running, which hopefully will be sometime by the end of this month, I will be shipping globally, and I will have metric noses for, Australia and the UK.
That's sick. Well, I mean, if you want, I still have about 8. I've been telling people to just buy it from me, but people don't say anything. I was like, you always ask for it. That's what I've been saying.
Like, okay, from now on, anytime that anybody in Canada says, what about Canada? I'll be like, here's what you do for Canada. Call the Impetus. Terrence will hook you up. He's got plenty. He can only use so many, and he can only paint one gold. So
So you can take the rest.
I'll let people know. I'll put a message on my gram. I don't know how to hashtag all that shit. I don't know how people sit there and hashtag 50 hashtags. I ain't got time for any of that.
Only 30. Only 30 is max.
30 limit? Is like 30 limit? you just have like those on like on a template, and you just like hashtags, and it gives all your hashtags? Or...
Honestly, I would love to, but the thing is, sometimes the hashtags I put are not what I want to put, so I don't put it as like a quick speed hashtag for the... Because then what you can do is on the iPhone, you can literally put, #1, and then you can pop out 25 hashtags right away that you've already typed out. But really? I type like a monster. Like, if you've ever seen me type on my phone, you'd be amazed. I'm not even kidding.
No, but I can tell.
I can literally type 30 hashtags in less than like 20 seconds or 15 seconds. It just goes like blah 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 blah.
That's a great skill set to have nowadays. We used to laugh at people when they were texting like, "What are you doing?" And now it's like, I wish I knew how to do that. I feel like such a dork.
Now it's not even how many words per minute you can type; it's how many words per minute you can tap. They get a test on those.
Yeah, right. To have a class.
Yeah. I can put that class together. But anyway, thank you so much, Adam, for coming today. Really appreciate your time. We're coming to the end of the show, and just like you said before, we are going to do 2 more giveaways that are coming up. One for people to count how many ferrules were in that box, and probably another one that's going to be a special one. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll find something to play around with. But if you have anything else that you'd like the audience to know, or you'd like to share about what's coming up, let us know.
I just want to congratulate the winner of the one ferrule blaster that was actually watching the show. Hope you enjoy that. I'll send that to you as soon as I get your information. And, hey, everybody, you know the deal. It's a ferrule blaster. You can, waste your time talking about how you don't want to spend the money, but it's really just there to make you money. It's like the golden goose. Every time you use it, it's like another golden egg that just came into your pocket.
Yep, and it'll pay for itself in one try.
1.5 uses. All right, Terrence. Well, I'll see you some more on the gram soon, man. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the interview here.
Not a problem. Thanks, Adam. You have a good one. Have a good day.
Later.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, that was the end of that show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Next week, we're going to have Odie on the show. OATEY. If you don't know Odie, they are I think master distributor or something, actually. I don't really know how to say what they are. But they do the Haymaker, they do masters, they do a whole crap of other products such as ABS glue, PVC glue, all that crap. And we're going to do having another live giveaway. So keep in mind for that one. Next week will be Odie. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll see you again next week on Coffee with Impetus, episode 11. Peace.